Om. Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Yo Antah Pravishya Mama Vachamimam Prasuptam सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् समचरणसरोजम् सान्द्रनीलाम्बुदाभम् जघननिहितपाणिम् मण्डनम् मण्डनानाम् तरुणतुलसीमालाम् कन्धरम् कञ्जनेत्रम् सदयधवलहासम् विठ्ठलम् चिन्तयामि विठ्ठलम् चिन्तयामि. Pranams to the Lord. Pranams to all the Mahatmas presented tonight. Sant Eknath Maharaj Ji's Eknathi Bhagawat. We have begun with chapter 22 last night, and we have seen first 70 Ovis. Tonight we resume from Ovi number 71. Over to you, Shri Hariji.
71. You should therefore know that the really wise persons take into consideration the various opinions about different number of elements in the universe and penetrate to the heart of the arguments. I shall tell you how this happens.
परस्परानुप्रवेशात् तत्त्वानां पुरुषर्षभ पौर्वापर्यप्रसङ्ख्यानं यथा वक्तुर्विवक्षितम्.
Meaning of the verse, O jewel among men, the categories being comprised in one another, they are enumerated as or less according to the viewpoint of the sages by including effects in a cause and vice versa. 72. My dear great Uddhava, disciples learn from their guru the sciences and achieve certain self-confidence. 73. The number of elements mentioned by these sages are different from each other because in one element, other elements are infused or created. This is called the intermixture of elements. 74. O Uddhava, elements are born out of other elements and the cause becomes the effect and at last the effect is dissolved into the cause. This is the process. 75. The original state of one element is the cause and that which is created from that is called the effect. The persons who brood over the arrangements of elements state the science of cause and effects in this way. 76. Now, the thinker who speaks about the elements counts the number as he wishes and sees. Those who say that the cause and effect are one postulate the number of elements, which is small. 77. Some, however, count the cause and effects as separate, and from them the number of elements is more. 78. Thus I have told you why the number of elements becomes more or less because of the counting of cause and effect. 79. Eknath says, now the Lord Sri Krishna is explaining the subject further and telling Uddhava his own opinion about the chain of cause and effect.
एकस्मिन्नपि दृश्यन्ते प्रविष्टानीतराणि च पूर्वस्मिन् वा परस्मिन् वा तत्त्वे तत्त्वानि सर्वशः.
Meaning of the verse, the elements are seen to enter into one or one element is differentiated as many. Either the later element enters the former or the former is included in the later. This thing happens in all cases. 80. Now listen in the proper sequence. Though wind is produced in the sky, it does not go away from the sky. Fire is created from the wind, but all the three elements, the sky, space, the wind, and the fire, are together. 81. Water is born from fire, but it contains the earlier three elements, and the earth is born out of water, but it contains all the earlier mentioned four elements. 82. Just as the gold and the ornament are conceived as separate things, they are not. So it is gold only. Similarly, the cause and effect, though apparently different, are one only. 83. The thread and cloth are one cloth only. Similarly, cause effect is one thing. 84. Suppose the fruit coconut and banana are prepared from sugar. The sugar in both of them, which is the cause, is undisturbed, and what is sugar only. So there may be many effects from one cause, but the cause is as it is. 85. From clay, various pots are made. The clay is present everywhere in them. 86. Similarly, the effect is in the cause and it comes into being because of the cause only. This is called mutual entrance. 87. When cause and effect are separately counted, the number of elements becomes less or more.
पौर्वापर्यमतो मीषाम् प्रसङ्ख्यानमभीप्सता यथा विविक्तं यद्वक्तं गृह्णीमो युक्तिसम्भवात्.
Meaning of the verse, we accept, therefore, as conclusive whatever is stated according to one's own viewpoint by any one of those sages who seek to establish the relation of cause and effect or a definite number of elements, there being a cogent reason behind every such statement. 88. Lord said, as I have already told you, the reason why the elements are counted variously is that the speaker wants himself to understand the subject in a definite concept. 89. The sage speaks according to his knowledge and his preference to his own opinion. 90. But please note that whatever he speaks is correct according to his opinion. As I am aware of the total approach of all the sages, I agree with each of them. 91. O Uddhava, I am now telling you the 26 elements which the sages have selected. Please pay attention.
अनाद्यविद्यायुक्तस्य पुरुषस्यात्मवेदनं स्वतो न सम्भवादन्यः तत्त्वज्ञो ज्ञानदो भवेत्.
Meaning of the verse, the jiva is ignorant eternally and it cannot realize the self by itself. There must be another being who is well versed in philosophy and who will impart his knowledge to the jiva. 92. The number of elements are 25 by counting them as follows: Prakriti, Purusha, Mahat, Aham plus 5 great elements. These are 9, 11 organs and 5 objects. These make 16. Thus, 9 plus 16 equal to 25. 93. If we add Jiva as a separate principle, then the Purusha or Ishvara, then the number becomes 26. 94. The ignorance which is existing from time without beginning is the cause of the concept of Jiva being separate, and it becomes identified with the body, and there the bondage of karma begins. 95. As the Jiva gets involved in various activities because of pride of being itself the doer, and therefore the sin and merit become a burden. The jiva runs after object so much that it forgets its own reality. 96. It cannot break the chain of karma because there is a sense of bondage. Thus, God, who knows everything, is necessary for his upliftment. 97. You may ask, what is the necessity of God when self knowledge is given by the Guru? My answer to this is without the grace of God, even one cannot find the Guru. 98. If one is fortunate to get the right perceptor, a man can develop devotion to him without the grace of the God. Vedas and scriptures agree that Guru is same as God. 99. One who thinks that the Guru and God are different is surely doomed. That is his great mistake. It is by the grace of God only the jiva is able to have self-knowledge. 100. Again, O Uddhava, though the Guru teaches, the teaching is not imbibed without the blessings of the God. 101. Jiva, Jiva is subject to control and God is the controller. Jiva is ignorant and God is the giver of knowledge. Jiva is limited and within a particular space, and God is always and all pervading. 102. Jiva is poor, weak, and ignorant. God is all powerful and knowing everything. The Jiva has the bondage of karma, while God is beyond karma. 103. Thus, Jiva gets knowledge by the grace of the God, and therefore Jiva is different from the God. 104. Now you may say that Jiva may gain self knowledge through karma, but that is not possible because karma is lifeless, a dead thing. 105. That is why in karma there is bondage and ignorance. Wise people know this. 106. Karma is naturally lifeless and the God provokes it. And therefore, who will give knowledge to that karma if it is not surrendered to God? 107. Karma itself has no power, and the knower of karma is God. God provokes karma, and He Himself is the producer of the result of that action. 108. In a way, God and knowledge are identical. God has created this vast universe, and the destroyer of it is the God Himself with His power. 109. The God may give the jiva the liberation or the pleasures in the heaven, or allow conducting the jiva in this world. 110. It is therefore necessary to maintain that Jiva and the God are different, and therefore the wise sages have counted 26 elements. 111. Now I'll explain to you how the number of elements comes to 25 and how the Jiva and God are counted as one by them.
पुरुषेश्वरयोरत्र न वैलक्षण्यमन्वपि तदन्यकल्पना पार्था ज्ञानं च प्रकृतेर्गुणः.
Meaning of the verse, the stand taken by those who recognized only 25 elements is that there is no difference between the soul and God because there is consciousness in both, and therefore it is meaningless to say that they are separate from one another. Knowledge or self realization is only a function of Sattva Guna, which is of Prakriti. Hence, there is no necessity to count the 26th category in the shape of God in order to establish the possibility of self knowledge. 112. Really, the Jiva and God are one very naturally. There is no reason to say that they are separate. 113. If one looks into the mirror, naturally onlooker and his image both are seen, but the onlooker is not divided into two. You should know that Jiva and Shiva are like this, one unit. 114. The Jiva is what is seen as reflection in the ignorance, avidya, and the one who looks at the image is Lord Sadashiva. But their natural oneness as Shiva, which is the natural veracity, is not modified or broken. 115. Just as we are reflected in the mirror, Jiva is Shiva himself by their quality of Chetana, energy. Please listen to what I say in this context. 116. We see that our image in the mirror does all actions as we do. Similarly, the God as Shiva has the power to make the Jiva act as he wishes. 117. As our body shape is, so is the shape of the image in the mirror. Thus, in the Jiva also, God is permeating fully. 118. Just as ember of fire, though covered by an ash, is fire only. So, though apparently we see the Jiva, it is not different from the Shiva or Atman. 119. There is a question that if Jiva and Shiva are identical, why is that one is covered with dirt of desires, etc., and other is pure? One is with defects while the other is faultless. So the answer is, if you look at the reflection of the sun in a dirty pool of water, you will apparently see that reflection is spoiled by all the dirt in the pool. 121. But if you observe carefully, the dirt does not touch the reflection nor to the sun in the sky. Both are clean. 122. If the surface of mirror is having dust upon it or the glass is dirtied by the use for a long time, you will see that apparently the image is also dirty. 123. If you want a clear image, you have to rub and erase the dust or dirt on the glass. It is no use trying to rub the image because it is not possible. 124. Similarly, it is the ignorance which says that something is faulty or clean. The Jiva and Shiva are both faultless in the nature of both of them as Atman. 125. If you see a crystal, it is very clear. But it will appear to have that color which is of the colored cloth or material on which it is placed. But that crystal is separate from that color. Similarly, Jiva is naturally untouched by any faults. 126. Jiva is naturally of the nature of energy, chit, but it appears to possess the guna with which it is placed. But neither the guna or virtue or fault and sin or merit do belong to that Jiva. 127. When we see the falsehood of gunas in the reflection, that seeing is possible by the power of the original object. Thus, there is no difference, no division between Jiva and Shiva. 128. When we adopt the opinion that both are one, the total elements remain 25 only. 129. Now, the question is the factor of knowing of the unity of Jiva and Shiva is one more element. That knowledge is the element. 130. If we adopt the principle of knowledge as one of the elements, then the numbers 25 and 26 becomes wrong, but it does not stand true to actual nature of things. 131. I say this because it is said in the same place of the verse that knowledge is a guna belonging to Prakriti. 132. The whole world is full of gunas and karmas because of ignorance, and knowledge is nothing but the opposite of ignorance. As a thorn is removed by another thorn, ignorance should be removed by knowledge. 133. When sattva is in its pure condition, which is called the knowledge in its pristine clarity, it cannot be taken as separate element because it is part of guna. 134. Had it been considered as a separate element, both the opinions of 25 and 26 elements might have been wrong. But as knowledge and the act of knowing is none else than one of these gunas, we have to agree to both the opinions. 135. O Uddhava, I shall tell you the nature of the gunas which are definitely products of ignorance.
प्रकृतेर्गुणसाम्यं वै प्रकृतेर्नात्मनो गुणाः सत्वं रजस्तम इति स्थित्युत्पत्त्यन्त हेतवः.
Meaning of the verse, Prakriti is only another name for the state of equilibrium of the three gunas. Therefore, the three gunas which are responsible for continuance, appearance, and disappearance of the universe are the adjuncts of Prakriti and not of the Purusha, which is non-doer and cannot be the ground of these three gunas. 137. The beginning, the existence, and the end are the functions of three modifications, gunas, and the state of equilibrium of these gunas is called Prakriti. Atman is beyond the gunas. 137. Now you may ask, though Paramatman may be beyond the gunas, is not the soul. Jivatma mixed up with gunas. But that is not so. How? I'll tell you. Please listen. 138. You see the moon in the sky. It is not fixed in any way. But when clouds pass by, what happens? The moon appears to be moving, is it not? That is only an appearance. Similarly, Jivatma, the soul, somehow appears to be affected by the gunas. 139. Suppose we take a pot and put some water in it. There is some space also in the pot, but it is not get wet by the water. Similarly, Jivatma functions in the field of gunas, but it is untouched and unaffected by them. 140. But the Jivatma is famous for thinking with pride that it is the doer. How can we say that it is beyond karma? The Lord Shri Krishna explains this further.
सत्वं ज्ञानं व्रजः कर्म तमो ज्ञानमिहोच्यते गुणव्यतिकरः कालः स्वभावसूत्रमेव च.
Meaning of the verse, knowledge is a modification of sattva, action modification of rajas, and ignorance the modification of tamas. As these belong to Prakriti, action and ignorance too are included in the Prakriti. Time is God, who is responsible for disturbance in the gunas, and swabhava, nature, the existence in its primary state, is the Mahat Tattva, which is all powerful. 141. Knowledge is the nature and the product of piety, sattva. Knowledge is the nature and the product of piety, sattva. Action is the nature of movement, which is the product of rajas. In tamas, illusion with laziness and ignorance are naturally existent. 142. Please remember that these three gunas, sattva, etc., are within the field of Prakriti and they have no separate independent volition. 143. Time is the factor which brings about imbalance in the gunas. Time is the quality of seeing or taking cognizance of the God or Purusha and Purusha of Sankhya's. So, Purusha and Kala are two names of only one principle. 144. What is Mahat principle? It is most natural primary urge taking place in the dormant Maya or Prakriti. It is also called main thread or manifestation. 145. It is also within the Prakriti and not separate, according to the men of wisdom. 146. Eknath says, the 28 elements mentioned earlier are according to the opinions of the Lord, the total number which makes the whole creation. In the next 2.5 verses, it is explained.
पुरुषः प्रकृतिर्व्यक्तम् अहङ्कारो नभो निलः ज्योतिरापः क्षितिरिति तत्त्वान्युक्तानि मे नव.
Meaning of the verse, the Lord said, I have told you 9 principles, namely Purusha, Prakriti, Avyakta, Ahankar, the sky, the wind, the light, the water, and the earth. 147. The Lord said, among the 28 elements, the following 9 I have told you: the creation, the Purusha, the God, the creation, the Purusha, the God, Mahat, plus 5 great elements, the sense of I. Now, listen to the details of the remaining elements.
श्रोत्रं त्वग्दर्शनं घ्राणः जिह्वेति ज्ञानशक्तयः वाक्पाण्युमुपस्थपायवङ्घ्रि कर्माण्यो भयम् कर्माण्यङो भयं मनः.
Meaning of the verse, the 5 faculties of cognition, hearing, touch, sight, smell, and taste, the 5 organs of actions, speech, hands, sex, anus, feet, and the mind, which is the controller of both organs. 148. Please note that the 5 organs of perceptions and 5 organs of actions. The organs of actions are controlled by organs of perception and have no independent function. 149. A blind man can walk and a lame man can see. If the blind man takes on his shoulder the blind man has to walk as directed by the lame man who can see. 150. Similar is the mutual dependence of the two groups of organs. The Lord therefore talked mainly about sense organs. 151. But mind, the controller of the 10 organs, is the 11th organ. 152. The Lord is further telling the 5 objects of organs and the names and the activities of them.
शब्दस्पर्शो रसो गन्धः रूपं च इत्यर्थजातः गत्युत्सर्गशिल्पानि कर्मायतनसिद्धयः.
Meaning of the verse, the 5 varieties of sense objects, sound, touch, taste, smell, and color. These are the other 5 categories mentioned about locomotion and speech, urination and defecation, and handicraft are the 5 functions of the organs of action. 153. There are 5 objects of senses. They are sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. And to walk, to speak, to work by hand, etc. are the means of action towards these objects. 154. Suppose there is one object. The eye shows the form of the object. The feet walk towards the object. Hands go forward to hold it. The nose wants to smell it. And the tongue wants to taste it. 155. Thus, 5 objects and not more are related to all the 5 organs. 156. 9 and 11 elements are mentioned earlier, and now there are 5 objects. 157. The sense organs themselves cannot enjoy any objects by themselves. They have to take help of the organs of action. Therefore, though there are 10 organs, the objects are only 5. 158. Now all the 14 worlds of universe are fully of only 5 objects. Their attachment is very dangerous, and men and gods are alike attracted to them and doomed. 159. Just as rogues, waylayers keep company of a traveler with a friendly gesture, and when there is opportunity of aloneness, they kill the traveler. Similarly, the contact with these objects binds the jiva and finally throws it into the hell. 160. Though the jivas suffer in the hell, still they have attraction towards objects. So there is none so dangerous as these objects in the whole universe. 161. Though these are only five, they are so disastrous that even the god Brahma comes into difficulty. What of others? 162. The seemingly sweet objects are internally poisonous. By poison, a man dies only once, but the objects of pleasures kill again and again. 163. The repetition of births and deaths is because of the objects. The whole worldly life is very strong because of these attractions. 164. Only when this attraction is dropped, then only the disease of samsara is uprooted. I become a servant of that man who does not like the objects of senses. 165. Thus, I have told you about the five senses and their five objects. Now, listen to the nature of the three gunas. 166. The
I
Lord
think
Sri Krishna.
I
Hare.
think we'll pause over here. And then we take up that next topic in the next week. What awesome reading. We're like heavy Vedanta is going on. First time from, so technical terms we have seen
Yeah.
today. Amazing. Share your thoughts, Sri Hariji.
Yeah. Continuing with different organs, Bhagavan explains, says that uh, those organs, according to the sages, are correct from their point of view. And he goes and explains the details of each and every elements. Uh, so he explains very clearly what is Prakriti, what is Purusha, what is Mahat. See, so all these explanations he is trying to clearly isolate and explain what is dependent on the other. So one is dependent, some is the cause and other is the effects. So these sages count both the cause and effects as different elements, and so there is a discrepancy with the counting. So they think that effects also should be counted, and so according to them, they are right. But if a person is able to understand the cause and see that the effect is due to the cause and can consider both as one, then the number of elements is less. So this is again says this is again because of ignorance. Similarly, he gives examples from 93. If Jiva is a separate principle, then Purusha or Ishvara, then the number becomes 26. The ignorance which is existing is the concept of Jiva being separate and becomes identified with the body, and therefore, so he says if actually Jiva and Paramatma is one and the same. But if it is considered separate because of the ignorance, it is but actually Jiva and Paramatma is one and the same. It is not tainted or affected by the karma. It is only the Paramatma who initiates the karma, who brings that karma into action so that those karma gets exhausted or whatnot. So in principle, Jiva and Purusha is one and the same. Jiva does not know about anything about karma, and it is only the God who should be able to invoke or exhaust the karmas or whatnot. So it is separate. Similarly, but because the jiva gets attached to its karma and its own actions, identifies itself, then because of the ego, and so it deviates from the God, thinking that it is separate from the God. In reality, it is not duality; it is non-dual. So much of it is told about jiva, so explained very well by the God. So very clearly it was told a person is very pure, a jiva is very pure. But if because of the bondage of the karma and identification with the self and the body and indulgence in the objects and senses, and then he constantly deviates from the God. I got this um, information. This is what I perceived. He has given wonderful examples like uh, uh, a sun reflected on a dirty pool of water versus reflected on a pure water. So it is not tainted. So it is only the dirt, but the reflection is pure. Similarly, the image on a mirror, there may be dust or the mirror may be having some problem, but the image is not, we don't need to clean the image. The image is already clean, but it is only the dust that is responsible for the bad image and not able to see it clearly. So that is the relationship between the Atman and Jiva, Paramatma. So it is Jiva and Shiva are one and the same. So that explanation I was very clear. And similarly, Prakriti and Purusha and Mahat. Mahat is a kind of like Mahat. I think it was told 140. Prakriti. I think I read somewhere in Mahat that uh, it is like the conscious, undisturbed conscious, the urge to get some disturbance and a creation is formed, and that is called as
144. This is what you're meaning?
correct, 140. It is the most natural primary urge. Yeah, correct. 144. I'm sorry. So Mahat is an urge taking place in the dormant Maya or Prakriti. So that is main reason for the manifestation. And so the and Prakriti is not separate, according to the men of the wisdom, but other sages says Mahat is different and Prakriti is different. So this is the distinction based upon root and cause uh, that has been explained by the. So I couldn't understand many things here because it was very what the gist is that we should not the sense objects we should not get addicted or should should remain separate from these objects and sense crash should not indulgence in the effects in these objects, organs, five objects of organs. So the actions, objects by itself is nothing. So the actions is only actually contributing to that. So it's not the fault with the specific objects itself, the eyes, the nose, and those kind of things, but the actions performed by these object of senses on getting attracted to a specific activity and then reaping the benefits out of it and then doing it again and again is the cause of all uh, problems and sins. So from 144, yeah, 165. So clearly from 160 on, though the jiva suffer in the hell, still they get attracted towards objects. So the objects of are this is what very clearly told about this. So if we- we- yeah, the repetition of birth and death is also because of our objects, because of the attractions, because of the sense of gratification get out of those objects and the experience. So because of that, they again and again indulge uh, and go on and again. So we stopped at 165. He's going to talk about the nature of the gunas.
Beautiful. But especially that last, in the end, when 162 it's read, right?
Correct.
Seemingly objects are internally, the poison
Poison.
dies once, but the nature of object, it kills again and again. So yatta dagare vishopamam parinami, we are seeing those in chapter 18.
Correct.
This is chapter 18.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So all that is coming there. Beautiful. When we were learning Ayurveda, um, yeah, I think those verses in chapter 18 are 37, 38, 39. All those were the last verses.
Correct.
Okay. So in
Those
Ayurveda,
which are sweet or poisonous, right? That one.
So yeah, OV number 162 is taken from Gita chapter 18, verse 37, 38, 39.
Yeah. Like I
And I
remember
was
now.
saying about this Ayurveda thing. We had to learn all these principles, Tattva, Panchavimshati, Purush, and all like this. So my
Mm.
sir, his approach was other way. He used to say, how many things you can gather from the world, what information. So you can see, you can hear, you can touch, you can taste, you can smell. This is nothing but you are gathering the information out from the world inside. And apart from these five, there is nothing more to gather from the outside world inside. So it is only five senses. So there are only five basic elements. And that's why the corresponding panchatanmatras, that's Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Sound. Yeah, touch. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. From Akasha Mahabhut to Prithvi it goes. From subtle to the gross. Shabda, Akash Mahabhut. Sparsha, Vayu Mahabhut. Rupa, Teja Mahabhut. Rasa, Jala Mahabhut. Gandha, Prithvi Mahabhut. And then they correspond to these indriyas. Shabda for the ear, Sparsha for the skin, Rupa for the eyes, Rasa for the tongue, and Gandha for the nose. So there is nothing else in the world apart from these. Then we add in Vedanta that when they say that the indriyas are outgoing, and then Kathopanishad says that is the Ratha, the horses, and it goes. And the Ratha is the body, and the horses are the senses. And the Shariri, that means the Atma is staying inside that. So where you are directing, if and your buddhi is the reins. So if you hold the reins perfectly, you can take the horse, means take the body, means take the Shariri to the destination. But if the buddhi, the reins are not held correctly, and the horse wants to graze this side or that side and that side, then the ratha will go the haywire wherever the horse take, there the ratha would go. That means the destination of the shariri is not to fulfilling. So holding the sense organ is coming now as the main thing. Outbound nature. It is outbound. It's natural for the sense organs to go out because they are built like that to get outside information of the world to inside. It was meant only for bringing the information. But what we have used is indulgence. So the brighter way and the correct way is you enjoy, but don't get attached to it. Not too much to put too much emotion or anything because they are naturally like that.
Mm.
And then when we are converting it with our buddhi, means from like and dislike, we are going to right and wrong. From mana, we are going on to the buddhi. So when that change and that shift happens, that time we are control of the ratha, our body. But when that shift happens, it takes time. Because so much dispassion we don't have, virakti we don't have. We like to enjoy. Bahirgaman, it is all going out, outbound. And we see and that we believe. We feel and that we believe. We smell, we taste and we believe. But this is something subtle, which is unseen. So it takes little time to come inside. So now when he will discuss that further, it will still be clear. Beautiful reading. Beautiful. And then one more point I wanted to say was before that we saw the cause and the effect.
Correct.
So that's why the counting is going wrong. Like if you're counting the effect also, then your basic element is getting higher. But basically it is not. Like I have a gold bangle, earring, mala. I have probably some armlet or I have one kati bandha or one anklet. Everything of gold. But if you say, oh, you don't have a finger ring. No, but this much gold is there, right? So you are counting by the effect.
Correct.
Basically, it's the gold. So if I go to sell, the jeweler, he is not going to bother whether you have finger ring into it or not. How much is the gold? Basically, it's that. So, effect, if you're sitting and counting, then effects are going to be endless. Tomorrow they will make one bindi of the gold, or one chudamani, something to put for the hair of the gold. Anything can come of the gold. Effect can be anything, whatever is the requirement. Nose ring, toe ring, finger ring. But now, anywhere else they put the ring. Somebody would like to put it in their umbilicus also, or on the tongue also, or on the eyelid also, they pierce it. Teeth also, they put the gold. Effect is going to be definitely infinite. So we'll have to stick on the cause. That's why the elements would be only basic. Whatever you can play out with the effect. It is like once you have made the dough of the flour, then when you make that biscuit of elephant shape or tiger shape, tree shape or a plant shape, which we fought so much in our childhood, that I need elephant, thinking the elephant eating biscuit would be a bigger thing. But everything is having the same size. I don't know if you remember those small
Yeah.
brown color biscuits with some holes on into it with different shapes. Tiger will be there, elephant will be there, monkey will be there, different shapes, same flour, same grams it will be there. But eating an elephant would give a feeling that I'm eating a bigger biscuit. Those small cookies in the childhood. Nowadays, they don't have like that. Everything is round. And so it doesn't matter what the effect would be. It's anyways going to be countless. So that was of cause of effect. I loved it very much. Anybody has any other or thoughts to share?
Yeah, I think when you say this, uh, one of my observations has been, how do we behave around food, right, in all situations? And
Mm,
to it's for me it's been a big need to observe myself in the last 9 years and shift myself, and therefore I guess I'm also very observant about how other people behave around food. And most of the time, whether it's satsangs or marriages, human behavior is identical, right? I mean, it's it's uh, it's very childish, right? I mean, it's excitement, it's overhelping on things that that fundamentally one knows one should not overdo on. And every time I observe all of this, I say, you can almost predict disease patterns by that single observation, right? What are people eating? How are they eating? How much are they eating? It's just such a giveaway to to, especially if you have the ability to observe repeat patterns. And
mm,
similarly, to me, the highest saintliness is about how you keep your slippers, right? How do you keep your footwear outside your own house?
Did we lose her?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think internet issue.
Very problem. Lost.
we, if you keep it orderly, it tells something about you, right? Rather than just
Mm,
just throw the slippers around or keep it in a messy way. And it's such a
mm,
giveaway again of me of character, right? Of thing. But interestingly, I mean, because of this cause effect thing, I mean, for me, at least in my own micro environment, I found and I think it must be existing for everybody, but definitely for parents with their children and spousal relationships, the cause and effect is really intimate, right? So if you find a behavior pattern in your spouse or your child that is displeasing for you, you can almost inwardly reflect and correct the causal effect in yourself. And the moment you shift that causal thought pattern and your conduct and your behavior, the effect changes. It's just so evident to me, right? That every time I have to crib about a certain behavior, around my spouse or around a help, I can almost always reflect back and realize that the problem rests in me, not in the other person. And I feel that's something that I don't think I paid heed to again when I was younger. And lastly, of course, I thought of Lord Brahma and the stories that we have around him, because it's the classic creator's dilemma, right? I mean, he fell in love with his own creations, and his fifth head was cut out, which represented ego. And the story after that goes that that's why I believe there are no temples that honor Brahma other than one or two in Pushkar and so on. But it's it's the ego, right, with the creation, that you can get so attached to your own creations, right? As taking pride as a creator, and it's so important to distance oneself from that, to detach from that very act.
Beautiful thoughts, Ganesha. Thank you.
I also like the way you said, Varshaji, about holding on to the different five sense objects as the five horses. And then if we control it properly, we cross the samsaras. I think I remember Gurudev also telling the meaning of Madhusudana is our sense objects will go outwardly and collect all the, just as the honey is collected by the bees, going out, collect everything and accumulating in the honeycomb. Similarly, we collect all the actions, the result of all the actions and perceptions into the mind. And the mind or ego is created, big ego is multiplied and created, and it is detrimental. So only Lord Sri Krishna is called as Madhusudana, who can kill that demon self-ego that has been accumulated by the outwardly going this sense organs and the actions and the result of those actions. I just remember somewhere Gurudev was talking about these things.
Beautiful. Nice to ponder and love.
So, yeah, if we understand the cause, then we won't be doing any actions at all and just focus on the cause. Yeah, instead of
The five senses is also that Gita Upadesham. I mean, when we show Krishna and Arjun in the chariot with five horses, that's also representation of that, right? That, I mean, Krishna is the mind and Arjun is the body, and those five horses are held in rein, and he's the Parthasarthi who's
intellect. Great. So we'll end today's session and we meet on Monday. And we continue from 166. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Hari Om, everyone. Thank you for joining. See you all on Monday.
Hari Om, everyone. Thank you, Ashaji. Hari Om.